All right, guys, let's talk about how to print money with ads. And we're not going to go into how to structure your ad accounts or how to do manual bidding. We're going to go into the real driver behind performance. And it's going to start with the offer itself. So if your offer is absolute trash, you have no proven data around the back end. If it's your offer, or if you have no baseline, if you're running an affiliate offer, then you're going to want to start there. You could apply everything we're going to share here to optimize the performance side on the front end acquisition with creative. But if your funnel, if your offer is trash, it's not optimized, this is going to help, but it's not going to solve the problem necessarily. You may still not be making money if you're struggling with that already. So let's dive right into this. This is how we print money with ads, how we put $1 in an ad spend and we see $1.50, $2, sometimes more than that come back. Okay. And this is how we do this across multiple verticals, multiple offers within those verticals, and how we're able to replicate this time in, time again, assuming the offer in the funnel is already somewhat lined up, right? It all starts there. So I've got my fancy little iPad here that I'm actually drawing on for the first time with you. So really what we do is we're first going to start with, call this a C for a concept, right? So this can be, I don't know, let's say it's like auto insurance. You can have someone walking, front facing, talking about like almost like a UGC influencer style, talking about how they save money on their car insurance, blah, 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 right? It's not going to be exactly like this. I'm just giving you one scenario of the overall arching idea and how you will apply this to whatever it is you're advertising, right? So that's concept number one is, let me write it out, person, person, UGC, front facing it in car. Okay, so that's our first one. Now, the second one, we're going to make another concept. So this is concept two, it's concept one. Okay, and let's say this is behind the camera, right? So let's say they're, I don't know, just throw out an idea. Let's say they have the camera, iPhone filming out, and it's very organic style, and they're basically running into the office of their car insurance company, Geico, whatever, and they are running up to the agent, not on camera, behind the camera, talking about how they were getting ripped off, and they found this website where they can basically get the same policy but with more benefits for half the price, and they confront the agent, right? Just throwing out an idea. This would be concept number two. Okay. So we'll write this out. Front facing, behind camera, confronting the agent, right? And then we have concept number three. Okay. Now here, uh, let's say, I don't know, typical B roll style most affiliates use with just like short clips of, I don't know, like car accidents and whatnot, right? And then some type of AI voice script overlaying, and yeah, like this stuff can work, not as often as you would think though. Okay, so how do we now turn this into a money printer? Well, first, we are going to not just start with one video. I think there's a big mistake a lot of people make is they say, "Oh, I'm going to test some ads," and they spend all this time making literally one video, and there's no variety, there's no iteration to it, and then they just see if it works, right? And sometimes that can work, right? But I think today in 2025, you need to be more sophisticated than that. It really has become somewhat of a numbers game. One little iteration on the hook or on the body plus the hook or on the call to action can make all the difference. Okay. So let's say we've got concept one. Now we're going to make, these are our concepts right here. And then we're going to have our hooks. Okay. So now we have our hooks. Let's say you take 5 different hooks, H1, H2, H, 3H4, H5. Okay, and these hooks can be a lot of different things. They can be super specific to the style of the concept that you started with, right? So if we're talking about concept one that we have here, okay, this is the person talking to the camera front facing, right? So kind of like I'm talking to you right now. And this could be the hooks itself. So you got five hooks like this of the person doing different things, talking to the camera. Maybe they're like running and talking. Maybe they're walking through a car dealership. Maybe they're getting into the car. Maybe they're driving the car, right? So you just want to test different things. Don't overthink this. It's literally there needs to be obviously intention and relevancy to this, but at the same time, do not overthink it. It is just iteration and taking swings at that. That is ultimately what a lot of this is it comes down to a numbers game to an extent once you have the skill sets around making creative. Okay. So generally when someone's not getting the results that they want and the offer is already good and proven, maybe they've had success with the same exact offer in the past and results are just kind of dying off. And assuming there's no change in the buyer back end, which we could talk about in a whole other video because that's a whole game in itself. A lot of times just your creative is burning out, and a lot of times you're not testing enough creative, right? So even for stuff that we have working and scaling already, we're still regularly throwing a blend, a big salad every single week of iterations of existing concepts plus new concepts. Okay. So regardless of the hook style, I mean, you can mix and match this as you want, and that's exactly what we're going to do, right? So let's just keep this very simple. We'll just look at hooks and we'll leave call to action exactly the same. Okay, so 3 concepts times 5 hooks equals 15 unique, I think that's it. Ads. Okay. So there you go. You have 15 unique ads. I mean, this is a small batch. I would definitely do more than this. Traditionally, what our batches look like is we literally call it a batch, right? So if this is like batch 5, some offers, we have batch like 50 at this point because we've been running some of these offers for so long. But we'll have a batch and then we'll have concepts. And then inside the concepts, we'll have, it's very simple. We'll basically just have hooks iterating on these concepts. But then there's also other variables that you could throw in here. And I'm going to use a little typer to type this out. So let's look at some of our variables. Okay. What are our variables? How can we make more iterations? Let's look at what else you can do. What are the variables we can look at, right? So variable one, there we go. Variable one would be the actor. Well, this is after assuming you've already done just like different hooks. So let's go back. We just say different hooks, hook ideas. Crazy different ways to start the video. Okay. And that you could make 1,000 different combinations just with that. Right. And then you have the actual actor or voice used. Okay. That's also a variable. I don't know why I have arrows now. Okay. Then you guys get the idea. Okay. So we have hook ideas, which we went over already here. Okay. Just with 5, you've already created 15 unique combinations of ads, right? These are unique ads in themselves. Let's just say we throw in 3 more actors and actresses, right? Zoom out a little bit here. So we now have 3 actors or voices. Okay. That is 3 times 15 equals 45 ads. There you go. So you got 45 ads. I think there's no perfect number. I mean, it really depends on a lot of factors, the scale you're operating at, the budget you have to spend, the budget you have to produce, the size of your team, because in combination with a lot of iteration, like playing treating this like a numbers game, you also have to factor in speed, right? Like you want to move fast. The most valuable thing you could do today in 2025 is really triple down on building out your creative team and infrastructure and process there, because that, like, your media buying should be fairly simple. Like, we play around with testing different strategies like big caps and seeing if one ad account beats out another. But ultimately, I'm finding more leverage, far more leverage in the creative itself, negotiating better deals with the offers themselves. And then also, you could even use the funnel as a variable in itself, right? To optimize for better conversion rates, better quality, filtering out the different offers, all sorts of ninja stuff you could do. Okay. And then let's say we want to take this one step further and we want to do, I don't know, there's so many little things you could change. Well, look, now I can move this one sideways. So let's just say other variables, variables. I need a bigger keyboard. You could change the music used, right? And then you could also change the scene. So you could just repeat all the things we talked about already. And let's say you do two of each, right? So now our 45 ads times two different if you're using background music, or maybe you have one, your original set's no music, and then the second one has some type of music behind it, right? Times two, let's just say there was two. Okay, now we're at 90. And then if we go one step further and we change the scene, 90 times 2 equals 180. There you go. So more or less, you've taken three videos, three core videos, and you've multiplied the hell out of this into crazy number of iterations, combinations, variations, and now you have 180 ads to test. So this just takes up your probability, your odds of succeeding. It's just the way I see it working in 2025, and I think it's only gonna, like, the people that are doing this versus the ones that are not, is gonna differentiate significantly, at least on the acquisition cost in the front end. Okay, now we can talk about contributional margin and MER and all this other stuff too, on the back end LTV of the consumer. But ultimately, if you're an affiliate or if you're just a pure drop shipper, there's no real backing game. This stuff matters, right? Like, I had a big debate with Charlie T, Professor Charlie T, and he just says like nothing matters pretty much. You just spend money, which I completely disagree with. He basically takes the complete opposite to this. Which, sure, if you're spending Coca-Cola's ad budget and nothing matters, then nothing matters, right? Then you could just make a couple ads, throw them in a CBO, and call it a day. No big caps, cost caps, iterations, idea testing, angles, none of this crazy, crazy stuff. But if you depend on making money on the front end acquisition, which affiliates generally do, and I would even argue whether you have a brand or not, why, if you could put attention to the game of the front end acquisition with creative testing, with like really using this key lever with creative, why would you not invest the time? If you could cut your acquisition costs in half, why would you not? I don't care if you have a crazy 3 to 5x on the LTV. If you could make more money on the acquisition and drive the same kind of volume, and it like really just takes building a team around this, that's your competitive edge. Okay. I think you're just being fucking lazy if you don't put attention to this. So to all the agency owners out there, like, this stuff does matter. You should be playing this game. You're doing your clients a huge disservice. Like, we work with a few partners as an affiliate capacity where we get paid on an affiliate model, but we're really basically a marketing agency for them. And the reason why it works is because we take ownership and focus with our own money on this front end acquisition. We get paid. They pay us out a fixed CPA, a fixed payout per. So maybe they're paying a little bit more than well, no, we're pretty badass at this. So we probably get them some of the best costs possible. But I mean, some of these guys are going from spending 2 to 3x the cost per acquisition of the customer than what we're able to produce. So if that's something you need help with, shoot me a DM. We could chat more about it and see if what we do is right for your product, your offer, your brand, right? But generally speaking, I think if you have an agency doing your marketing, doing your ads, and they're not focused on this, they are not doing a good job. They are leaving so much money on the table for you. and they're doing you a massive service. So just keep that in mind, whether you're an affiliate or a brand owner, like this stuff does matter. Even in 2025, when like creative and is really driving everything, you will be a lazy fuck to not put time and attention into maximizing the creative output and the conversion to drive down CPA. Like just it just baffles me that people like I watch all the YouTubers out there and they all like aside from the guys that are big on big cap, cost controls, and really like capping out the cost that the consumer, or sorry, the brand owner does pay. Like I think those guys are doing really good work, assuming they're able to drive volume. But the problem is one, you get lazy and you spread this false narrative that you can just throw stuff up and then you focus on everything else. And like you need to do both. It's a reality. Okay. Build a back end that really crushes it and allows you to compete that way. But more importantly, drive creative to lower CPA while also maximizing LTV. Like do it. Don't be lazy. Okay. But if you're affiliate, if you're drop shipper, if you're just like trying to get a brand going, like this needs to be a huge part of your focus. If not, like what are you doing? Okay. So anyways, this is what we do. We basically walk away with something like this, and that can happen. I could give you tons of variables you could test, right? But this is what will drive performance. This is what will drive volume. This is what will drive results and margin on the front end and the back end too, and allow you to outspend and crush all your competition. Whatever it is that you're selling, doesn't matter. So, like, take this as a simple framework and a model. Give this to your creative team if you have it in house. If not, you need someone like us to basically do it for you. And this is how you win. It's very simple. Okay. Like it's not rocket science. So, and where we come up with these concepts over here on the left, draw a little arrow so it's clear, is we simply scroll through things like TikTok or on Instagram. Like I'm messaging my business partner, I'll see reels will be delivered to me that are something about it just taps into the back of my brain and just grabs my attention. And I'm like, oh wow, that's a cool concept. Let's throw that. Let's see how that can apply to lead gen, right? And with auto insurance or whatever the offer is that we're running. And then we basically test, we build it around that. And then we also have proven concepts. Another thing too, I just want to leave you with is it should really be like an 80-20. Okay. I know it's not. There you go. 80-20. You see here. So it should be 80% or more iteration and then 20% or less of new concept, creative concept testing. I learned this like we were like 70-30, 50-50 on this. Like I'd be pushing like the new concepts just as much as iterations. But there's far more leverage I'm finding in focusing on iterations heavily here as a majority of your efforts. And those could be micro or like macro, like bigger iterations, but more or less the same proven concept versus fresh, new, off the boat, never been seen before, um, you know, ideas and formats for your ads, right? So that's what we found the most leverage. You're going to have a much lower success rate with new concepts versus proven with iteration. It's just the way it works. Okay. So yeah, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions with this. I hope this helps. Literally what we do. And then we can talk more in other videos about like tools we built and stuff. I don't have anything to sell you. I'm not going to show you our internal like structure per se, exactly the tools and softwares that we use because some of that's proprietary. But we've used more or less like ChatGPT to build the prompt to build things like for ad launching, for stitching together hooks, core videos and call to actions, and then doing other cool stuff as well. So if not, you should be doing that. And really, it's not that hard. You just have to put time into it. Okay. So I'll see you in the next video.